Hello and welcome. It feels like our conversations about the past have gotten really, really charged lately. So today, we're going to try to figure out why and maybe find a wiser way to think about history. And to do that, we're going to lean on some fascinating ideas from historian Dominic Sambrook.
Okay, let's just dive right into the big one. The question that's everywhere. We're tearing down statues, we're renaming buildings, we are constantly putting historical figures on trial. The question is, are we actually any good at it?
So, first, let's try to figure out what's changed. Because if you look back just a couple of decades, the way we talk about history was, well, it was different.
And this is Sandbrook's key observation. He says, we've kind of stopped looking at history as this complex, messy story full of flawed people. Instead, the whole debate has become intensely moralistic. It's all about sorting people into piles, the good guys and the bad guys.
You can really see the difference when you put the two mindsets side by side. The older, warts and all approach just accepted that history is messy because, well, people are messy. But this newer approach, it often seems genuinely shocked and outraged that people in the past weren't as enlightened as we are today. It kind of sets us up as the hanging judge and creates this feeling that we're morally superior to everyone who came before us. So why? What caused this massive shift? Why are we so confident in our own virtue? Well, Sandbrook argues it's because we've lost something really fundamental, a concept he calls the sense of the tragic.
What on earth does he mean by that? Well, for pretty much all of human history, people had this built-in understanding that civilization is fragile. They knew, often firsthand, that chaos, violence, and the darker side of human nature, what he calls the beast, were always right there, just under the surface. But here's the thing. For many of us living in the West, the last 70 or so years have been a period of incredible peace and stability, unlike anything in history. We've been, as he puts it, insulated from that harsh reality. We've kind of forgotten what humans are truly capable of, both the incredible good and the absolute worst. And when you lose that tragic sense, a few things happen. We start to see human nature through these rose-colored glasses. We get really easily shocked and offended by the brutal realities of the past. And, crucially, we stop seeing the potential for that same darkness in ourselves. And that makes us incredibly certain that we're the good guys. It makes us, to be blunt, pretty bad judges of history.
Okay, so let's make this less abstract. How does losing that perspective actually change how we see some of history's biggest names?
Churchill. He is the perfect test case for this whole problem. He is exactly the kind of messy, complicated, contradictory person that our modern moralistic view just does not know how to handle. So on the one hand, you have critics who will quite rightly point to his really problematic views. He had racist beliefs and said some things that are just completely unacceptable, not only by our standards today, but even by the standards of some people back then. But then, on the other hand, you have his defiant leadership during World War II. It's widely credited with saving Great Britain and maybe all of liberal democracy from one of the most monstrous regimes that has ever existed.
So what's the answer? The whole point of the warts and all view is that you don't pick a side. You don't try to erase one fact to make the other one seem more important. The goal is to hold both of these conflicting truths in your head at the same time. People are complicated. They can be heroic and deeply flawed, all at once.
Now, this way of thinking leads us to a really startling, almost upside-down conclusion, one that completely flips our usual idea of evil on its head. This might be the most chilling part of Sandbrook's whole argument. The greatest disasters in modern history weren't caused by people who just woke up in the morning and thought, you know what, I'm going to be evil today. No, they were caused by utopian idealists. They were caused by people who were absolutely 100% convinced they were building a paradise on Earth. I mean, just look at this list. Hitler, Stalin, Mao, they were true believers. They were utterly certain that their ideology was the one true path to a better future. And because they were so certain, they believed that any human cost, literally any price, was worth paying to get to their utopia. And that brings us to the real punchline here. The thing we should be most afraid of isn't some cartoon villain. It's certainty. It's that rigid, unshakable belief that you are right, that you and your side have a monopoly on the truth, and that anyone who disagrees with you isn't just mistaken, they're an obstacle that needs to be removed.
So this all leads to one final and maybe the most uncomfortable question of all. It's time to turn that historical lens right back around on ourselves.
Here's the hardest thing to remember when we're judging the past. You are not the finished product. We aren't standing at the end of history, looking back with perfect clarity. We are right in the middle of it. And we have our own moral blind spots, our own customs that will one day look bizarre or even monstrous to the people who come after us.
So it forces you to ask a pretty humbling question. If we're so quick to condemn our ancestors, what are our great-grandchildren going to find absolutely unforgivable about us and the way we live?
Just think about it for a second. Everyday things we take completely for granted. Eating meat, hopping on a plane, all our plastic stuff, how our clothes get made, the massive inequalities we just accept. Any of these things could be the moral outrages of the future. It really makes you think, doesn't it, that maybe a little humility is the most important tool you can have when you're trying to understand the past.